The weekend's here, so it must be time to win with sports. I'm Joe Spano. He's the man that gets you to the pay window each and every week in the world of sports gambling and sports handicapping. He's Chris Long, and on this edition of the Win with Sports radio program, we'll tell you exactly how Chris Long and the Win with Sports team got you to the pay window last week. We'll then roll out of that and into all the big college football bowl action that's coming up this weekend, including the college football playoff semifinals. And then we'll roll into Week 17 in the NFL and tell you where to put your money and where not to put your money in the world of sports gambling. But Chris, you guys at Win with Sports, you, particularly yourself and Lenny Smalls, have really been in the holiday spirit. You've got some special promotions and some great opportunities that you'd like to discuss with us right now.
Yeah, first off, I'm going to always start with that number, 1-833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. Give us a call on either one of those numbers, and you will reach me, Chris Long, direct, or Lenny C. And we have our College Bowl Game of the Year, and it goes this Saturday. Game of the Year's here. They never lose, Joe. We can recap with our total of the year from 2 weeks ago where it was over at halftime. We can go back to Georgia in the SEC championship game, up by 2 touchdowns, taking 2 touchdowns. Those are the kind of games we have. 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. We'll get into more of that later in the program. You can also reach us on the web at winwithsports.com. That's where you can find us on the website. Now, we have a bunch of bowl games. We got some NFL stuff going on. We got a lot of good stuff going on. We got a mix of the crappy bowls and the playoffs. So we like both of those. We have a high volume and low volume, and we like to pick apart each and every one of those. Joe, and we're going to recap, but we had a monster week not only here on the radio, giving you winners left and right for free, but also on the paid lines. Guys, those bankroll challenges, not a single one failed. It didn't matter if you joined Saturday morning, Saturday night, or even Sunday. Every one of them got to the pay window, as you like to say.
It's all about getting to the pay window in the world of sports handicapping. And up next, we will dive into exactly how Chris Long and the Win with Sports crew took you to the pay window last week and had you cashing winning tickets in the world of sports handicapping. That's next on Win with Sports. Joe Spano, Chris Long with you. You be sure to keep it where it is. Chris, let's kick off Win with Sports talking about winners. And winners was just about all you picked last week, and the Win with Sports crew was on an incredible roll and sent everybody to the pay window. Let's detail exactly how you did just that.
Okay, first we'll start off and just let you know, our high rollers were 5-0 last week. NCAA was 2-0, and the NFL was 3-0. To get games like Army minus 4.5 versus Houston, I'm laughing as I tell you, 70-14, and Louisiana Tech pick'em versus Hawaii, 31-14 winner. You need to call 1-833-95-SPORT. That's 1-833-957-7678, or you can reach us on the web at winwithsports.com. There's packages for everybody. But let's go and look the first game, and we also gave this to you here live on the radio. We gave you Army minus 4.5. A couple things about that game, Joe. First off, it closes 6.5. All the sharp wise guy money was with us, was with Win with Sports. You know, you'd like to be on that side when you're ahead of the steam and you're laying 4.5 and Joe Public is laying 6.5. In this case, we both won, but sometimes it lands 5 or 6 and we win and you lose. You need to call 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. On this show last week, we told you about Ed Oliver. We told you, yeah, he has a hang now. I think Joe said we were laughing about it. I mean, against a team like maybe Memphis or Central Florida, it's not a big difference. The spread, running it around, throwing it all over the place. Against Army, they had nobody to stop the fullback dive. We told you about that. Army put up 70 points. I mean, they just went, I think they ran for 550 yards. Those are the old Tommy Frazier Cornhusker numbers. 550, we know Army runs a wishbone. We know they have a great running attack, but they had no answer all day long.
Amazing thing about this game, Chris, is it set records, not just records by Army, but bowl records, period, as it related to margin of victory, some rushing yardage, things like that. It was a dominant victory by the Black Knights of the Hudson, and we had talked about it going into that matchup, how good a year Army had. We spotlighted the fact that they took Oklahoma to overtime in Norman, and without Ed Oliver and without their starting quarterback, Houston was going to have some major challenges. And we talked about the fact that the Win with Sports crew loved Army in this one. I don't even think you guys expected 70-14. It was one of the epic blowouts in the history of collegiate bowl football.
No, like you said, we did not expect 70-14. Nobody in the world did. I mean, we laid 4.5. Game closed at 6.5. We expected an Army comfortable win, 70-14. I mean, I looked up; it was 56-7 at one point. It was never. Again, we love to say this: the cigar game. The game starts. You watch a few plays. You light the cigar up. You grab a drink. You don't even have to sweat. Sometimes we like to sweat.
That's a box of cigars game. That's how easy this one was. This one was over quickly.
And again, you need to have a service like Win with Sports in order to go through this minefield of college bowls. You don't know who's interested and who's not. We told you about a couple weeks ago with Manny Wilkins, again with N'Keal Harry not playing and Wilkins maybe resting, with Herm Edwards not playing his star player. Houston didn't play their star player. They didn't play their quarterback. Army, like you said, it's not that easy, but their best game was overtime in Norman. So you knew they had it in them to play with anybody in the world right now because Oklahoma is in the playoff hunt. They're the top 4 teams in the league. Army went tooth and nail, overtime on the road, shows their game can travel. 70-14 winner. Now, here's another one that I love. And again, you can listen to, I'm not making this up, Joe. You can listen to last week's show on our site at winwithsports.com. We also told you this was going to happen. Louisiana Tech versus Hawaii. I told you Hawaii didn't belong in a bowl. We know they got their qualifier 6 win. They got to 6-6. They were at home. I told you if Louisiana Tech, if they brought their game, if they weren't distracted by the hula skirts and the girls and Hawaii and the surfing, that they would blow Hawaii's doors off. Now, if you watch that game, which I did, I watch every play, Hawaii, it was a tight game. I think Louisiana Tech kicked a field goal to kick everything off. Hawaii was fighting tooth and nail. They were up 7-3. Well, they started taking cheap shots at Ferguson, who was a draftable talent. He might be a first-round pass rusher for Louisiana Tech. They started taking cheap shots at him. They hit him when he wasn't looking. They hit him when he was down. One guy even went for his legs. Joe, that's all it took. Louisiana Tech, their head was in the clouds. They weren't ready to play. They were down 7-3. All it took was a couple of fights to defend their star player, who also broke Terrell Suggs' sack record. Well, what happened when they woke the sleeping giant? And it's funny to call Louisiana Tech sleeping giant, but in this matchup they were. But what happened was they woke up, they reeled off 21 straight. As soon as the third quarter started, it went from 7-3 to like 24-7 in no time. We have a 31-14 winner. They just blew their doors off once they woke up in Hawaii's home stadium in front of Hawaii's home crowd. They were taking advantage of Hawaii, and all of a sudden, a couple of fights, a couple of ejections, a couple of unsportsmanlike penalties. Louisiana woke up, and they blew their doors off, Joe.
I'll tell you what, I watched this game myself, and this was a sloppy one in the first half, and you're exactly right about the cheap shots and the fights kind of waking up Louisiana Tech, and that being the huge difference, because it was a slogfest in the early going, and Hawaii was getting the best of it. La Tech wakes up, blows out Hawaii in the second half. Can't quite call it a cigar game because it took a while to get rolling, but when you look at the final outcome, it was pretty easy and really never in doubt in the second half.
Yeah, and those are the kind of games we like to have. I mean, look at it again. Not only did we we gave these to you for free. We're showing you our cards. We don't like to do that all the time, but we did last week, and it paid off in a big way. Army, blowout. Louisiana Tech, blowout. Okay, NFL. Let's go over to the NFL. We also talked about the Falcons and the Panthers. We talked about Cam Newton's arm being a mess, his shoulder being a mess. We picked on him 4 weeks ago with the Browns. We told you that we jumped on it at 47. I think it got as low as 43. There was some buyback that went back up. Let's call the official closing number around 45. We went under the 45. We knew that Cam was banged up, but then the announcement came that Heineke was coming in. You know what? If we like to banged up Cam to go under, of course we like Tyler Heineke to go under. I mean, have you seen this guy play? Well, sure enough, what happens? The final score is 24-10. That's 34 points if my math is correct, and that's clearly under the 45. I think Carolina scored early. It took a little while for that. I mean, the Falcons' defense is terrible, but you don't got to be good to stop Taylor Heineke. Am I saying it right? Is it Taylor?
It's Tyler Heineke. And Heineke got banged up in this one, and now the Panthers are going to be going to Garrett Gilbert. Yes, University of Texas's Garrett Gilbert. So that may be something to look at if you're looking for an under in the season finale.
Joe, our weekly checkup on Ron Rivera, how's he doing over there?
He's calling real estate agents trying to get that house sold. Hopefully he was smart. He called Win with Sports this past weekend, got on the bankroll challenge, and turned his $10,000 into $80,000.
Yeah, and like I said, so 2-0, easy. Not even a squeaker there in the NCAA. The first high roller in the NFL was the Falcons. There's your 3-0. If you started Saturday morning, you were complete. By 4 o'clock Eastern on Sunday, you were sitting back with your $8,000 or your $80,000 or your $40,000 or your Alfa Romeo like Joe, whatever the hell you did.
Already ordered it thanks to the first go around, and then hit the second go around, and well, I ordered it, put some extra money in the bank, do some modifications on it, make it even better.
I'm gonna go a little out of order. I'm gonna throw in the Seahawks, another game we gave you here. I mean, this is just a common theme. The Seahawks plus 2.5 versus the Chiefs. We knew that home field advantage with Mahomes. He's a great quarterback, most likely the NFL. It's his first time seeing an atmosphere like that at night in Seattle, home of the 12th man, rocking decibel levels. He took it to them. 2.5, Seahawks steal, 38-31 winner. I know we're up against the clock here. The other one, Eagles. This takes a special segment. We like the Eagles at pick. We gave it to our customers at a pick. We did give it out here on the radio at -2. That's what the line was by the time it got here. And Bonsai, 32-30. That's 1-2. They won by 2. You guys pushed if you played Sunday morning. If you played with Win with Sports, you were a winner. 1-833-95-SPORT, 833-957-7678. In order to get ahead of the line moves and turn a loser or a push into a winner, that's what you need to do.
One great example of line value as a result of Win with Sports, and one example of styles and matchups making the fight, and that's the Seahawks and the Chiefs. Seahawks are great running the football. Chiefs can't stop the run, and it was really the difference in that football game. Up next, we'll take a look at all the big college football bowl action that's coming up this weekend in the world of college football. And you've got some huge games, including the college football playoffs and all those major New Year's Day bowls. Then you got some of those small-time bowls as well. Win with Sports will have the 411 on it next here on the Win with Sports radio program. Joe Spano, Chris Long with you. You be sure to keep it where it is. Win with Sports rolls on. I'm Joe Spano. He's the man that takes you to the pay window. His name is Chris Long, and it's time to go bowling. There's a ton of college football bowl games coming up this week, Chris. Saturday's a huge day, of course, with the college football playoffs and a couple of lesser bowls. Then, of course, you got New Year's Eve and you got New Year's Day. And there's just a ton of big-time college football bowl action, a smattering of smaller-time college football bowl action, but it equals a lot of opportunities to make money in the world of sports handicapping and in the world of sports betting. And Win with Sports has the 411 on how you're going to make that money and how you're going to go to the pay window.
Yes, and as always, 833-95-SPORT, or that's 833-957-7678. Come give us a holler. Chris Long and Lenny C. will be sitting there day and night waiting to take your phone call. Personal money management, plays, personal service, not a robot, not a hacky salesman. 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. Or you guys can reach us on the web at winwithsports.com. We have packages for everyone. And what's special this week, Joe? College Bowl Game of the Year. All right, we've had a total of the year. We had our regular season Game of the Year. Hit them both, never a doubt. And the same thing's going to happen here. We have 5 games to go over. obviously I'm going to break them down just like I always do. I'm not going to tell you which one is the game of the year. That one you need to call for, okay? Guys, join any package. This is a $500 value. Join any package, a day package, a weekend package, a monthly package, a weekly package, whatever you want, and I will throw this in absolutely free. My game of the year for free, and they don't lose, Joe. So where do we want to start here this week?
You know what? Let's start before we get into the college football playoffs with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Michigan, a 5.5-point favorite versus the Gators of Florida.
Okay, so again, here's another game where you either need to find someone like me or a service out there. There's other services that are good. Obviously, this is the Win with Sports radio show, so you want to come to me. You need to do some research. You need to find out what's going on. Who wants to be there? Who doesn't want to be there? Who's looking to the NFL or who's looking towards the beach? I mean, we never know. Now, in this game, you're going to have Gary and Bush out on defense for Michigan, and also their running back Higdon. It'll be four starters in total. Now, Bush and Gary, they're headed straight to the combine. They're going to the NFL. So we're not taking, Joe Spano and Chris Long off the defensive line or at linebacker. We're taking two studs, two NFL-ready players are gone. And Higdon, he totes the rock over and over and over. Harbaugh just loves to smash it in there. Sometimes he has there's an 11-man box, and he's still trying to run it. So that's what you're looking at the Michigan side. This game opened up at 7. People took Florida plus the 7 because of missing 4 starters. Right now it's settling in at 5.5. I don't know. This could be our game of the year. It could not. Just looking at Michigan. Do they really want to be there? They were headed for the national championship. They were headed for the playoffs, and they got their doors blown off by Ohio State. Are they going to come back with a vengeance and try to get revenge for that disgusting loss that they had? Or have they mailed it in because they're playing Florida? I think this is the 3rd time in 3 years that they played Florida. It's a weird scheduling quirk that they have played Florida 3 times. But that's our thought on that game, Joe. Anything you got to add there?
Well, I guess the biggest thing for me is while Michigan is down 4 starters, a lot of times in these major college football matchups, or especially in the NFL, quarterback is the difference. I'm no Shea Patterson lover, but he's a huge advantage over Felipe Franks. So despite the 5.5 that you're laying with Michigan and then missing the 4 starters, there's something that tells me I kind of like the Wolverines just from the standpoint of the edge at quarterback with Shea Patterson over Felipe Franks. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and that's definitely an angle to look at. And like I said, Joe, you're getting better each and every week. You know what to look for. You know what kind of nuggets we're looking for. But you know what? You cheat anyway because you call us under fake names you take advantage. And that's twice that you hit the bankroll challenge. I'm okay with it, you coming in, sneaking in with fake names, and we both love the one you used last week, but we won't say that on air. But I love that you come in because you know what that means? That means my guys cashed the bankroll. So if, fake Joe Spano cashed, then so did everybody else. 5-0. It didn't matter when you could have just come in on Sunday, overslept on Saturday. But anyway, 833-95-SPORT. 833-957-7678 or winwithsports.com. Where are we going now?
Let's go quickly to a couple of minor bowls that are mixed in with these huge bowls on this huge college football playoff Saturday. And that's the Belk Bowl, Virginia versus South Carolina. South Carolina laying 5.5. And the Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl, Nevada versus Arkansas State. Arkansas State is getting 2.
The who? The what? The what are you talking about over there, Joe? These are some funny-looking bowls, aren't they?
Right.
These
but
sponsors,
don't they present great opportunities for the gang at Win with Sports?
Well, it's pretty funny. If you watched earlier in the week, Cal versus TCU, I think that was called the Cheez-Its Bowl.
Yeah, well, Cheez-Its, like the snack food. Yeah, Cheez-Its.
There was 9 interceptions in that game, and it was trending on Twitter, and they said that we can call it the Cheese INT Bowl. Instead of Cheez-It, they threw an N in there. But 9 interceptions, that game was crazy. But yeah, these lower sponsors, they're getting a kick out of it. The kids get a kick out of it. Who am I to mock that these kids are having fun? But you know what? The people who say there's too many bowls and the people who mock these bowls, they don't make money with these bowls, and I do. I love these bowl games. I'm not going to break in too much onto Ark State, Nevada, or South Carolina versus Virginia. These are 2 games that we are 100% playing. Are they my bowl game of the year? I don't know, but they are definitely two plays that we are 100% playing. And guys, you call me up, just tell me you want the Saturday package, and I'm throwing in my bowl game of the year for free. Tell me you want the weekend, tell me you want the month, tell me you want the week. 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. Now that we got the two monster games out of the way, Ark State, Nevada, South Carolina, Virginia. Let's talk about one of these lesser bowls. What's one of these lesser bowls?
All righty, business is going to pick up now a little bit, and it's the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, which is the first semifinal in the college football playoffs. It's the Tigers of Clemson versus my Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about this stuff. It's something about being a kid, going out on New Year's Eve, getting smashed, waking up at like noon, and then having like all these bowl games on. I mean, I don't know. Is it me, or I just don't have that? I love waking up on New Year's Day and having the big games. The Rose Bowl, the Orange, the Fiesta. I used to love that.
Well, they're still there this year, but they don't have nearly as much meaning as the main event of the college football weekend, the college football playoffs. Those are the main event matchups, and the first one is the Goodyear Cotton Bowl.
So now we're looking at Dexter Lawrence. I mean, we still don't have any clarity. It looks like he's going to miss for a banned substance. They're waiting on another
They're waiting for the B sample result, but I have a funny feeling that's not going to be any different than the A sample.
I have the same feeling.
It rarely is. They always try this test, and very rarely is the B sample any different than the A sample.
Now, he's a beast. He's just like Ed Oliver. He's going to be missed on that defensive line. But the difference, Joe, between Houston and Clemson is that when Dexter Lawrence goes out, an NFL prodigy rolls right in. They're like prototypes. It's like they have a factory in the backyard over there at Clemson. They're going to roll someone in. Houston couldn't do that. They couldn't roll in an Ed Oliver clone. Clemson can. I think there might be 8 defensive linemen drafted. I don't think it's as big as a loss as other people. I think his backup averaged about 20 snaps a game and had more sacks than Lawrence. I know Lawrence is more of a run stopper, but just to throw that at you, Clemson is laying 13. This is a matchup of two quarterbacks where their coaches, made the switch, midseason switches. We went to Ian Book over at Notre Dame, and we went to what's his name? I'm losing his name here now. For Clemson, Joe.
Kelly Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence and Book, all right? These two guys, the coaches, pulled the trigger, and they did it for the betterment of the team. They did it early. They didn't do it in week 1. They waited, let these kids get a couple of practices in there, and you can see that was the right move. So this is like the backup quarterback, replacement quarterback bowl, but these two quarterbacks are really headed in the right direction. Clemson, lay the 13. We're going to leave that alone, and you're going to give me a call. 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678 or winwithsports.com. I don't like to have a lot of passes on this week. I feel like Dan Marino with all these passes there, Joe. But, you know what we did last week. Free on the radio. I can't give away the free all the time. To get the gold, give me a call. We'll break these down. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll keep you entertained. We'll make Ron Rivera some money. But, guys, 833-95-SPORT or 1-833-957-7678. Where do we go next?
60 seconds or less. Capital One Orange Bowl, Alabama versus Oklahoma. It is the finale of the college football playoff semifinals.
Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is, again, I'm not giving you a play in this game, but I will tell you this. Bama versus Oklahoma, -14 Bama. Tua, he's a wild card. We don't know what's going on there. But if you remember, the last time Saban played in a bowl similar to this was Trevor Knight of Oklahoma. Now we have Murray of Oklahoma. Similar quarterbacks. Obviously, smaller, speedy, running a lot, accurate. And I think, as a big favorite, Alabama got knocked off. And I don't think they just got knocked off. I think they got beat pretty bad. That was the last time they matched up in that bowl. I remember that like it was yesterday. But what I will tell you, Oklahoma, their offense averaging 8.8 yards per play. That is a record. So that's almost 9 yards per play. There's always a potential for backdoor in a place like that. So the backdoor is always wide open. You can always see a late score to get the cash on the underdog.
Up next, we're going to go to an always crazy Week 17 in the NFL. That's next on Win with Sports. Joe Spano, Chris Long with you. You be sure to keep it where it is. We continue with Win with Sports. I'm Joe Spano. He's Chris Long. Chris, let's get to the always crazy Week 17 in the National Football League. Week 17 in the NFL is always unique, and it's where a service like Win with Sports separates themselves from the rest. Like college football bowl season, Week 17 is one of those weeks where some teams play and some teams don't. And if you're on the wrong side of that, you're not going to the pay window. But in turn, if you're on the right side of that, you're cashing tickets and you're stuffing your pockets full of lettuce. And when I say lettuce, I mean $100 bills, my friend.
Yeah, so again, this is what I'm going to equate this to preseason in some of these matchups. And Joe, we were not here in preseason for your listeners, but preseason, we destroy. That's where you can throw out the computers, and information is king. You need to know who's playing what, where, and why. 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678 or winwithsports.com. Now, again, people may laugh when I say I bet preseason football, but we destroy it year after year. And there's a reason why the limits are lower and the lines come up later, because, guys, Vegas is afraid. The offshore are afraid of the information. All right, so we'll look at this week's schedule, 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. And there's many games that mean absolutely nothing, and then there's games that really mean something. Joe, I'll leave it up to you. Do we want to start with the games that don't count? Do we want to start the games that count? I'll let you lead me where you want to go, and we'll just hit on each one of them.
Chris, let's start with one of the more important games of the weekend, and that's the Bears at the Vikings. Obviously, Minnesota, if they win or tie, they're in the postseason. If not, they're in deep trouble. And for the Bears, seeding could be a factor in this one.
Yeah, when you said the game that matters, I thought you were talking about Carolina, New Orleans. But yeah, we'll get to that one later. All right, Bears and the Vikings. Mini with a win or tie, and they're in. So this is a win and in type game. It's a playoff game for many. But Joe, what I learned a long time ago, we have this old phrase, must win does not mean must win, if you follow what I'm saying. Just because they have to win, I've seen teams in this situation over and over and over again and just flub it. But there's interesting, it's not just winning in on the mini side. There's some weird stuff going on the Bears side. How would you like to be in this situation? If the Vikings beat the Bears, they play next week. What if you're Nagy? What do you want to show here? Do you play vanilla? Do you show anything? But then conversely, let's say the Rams lose, or if the Rams are down 14-0, the Bears can move up to number 2. So it's a really weird, unique situation. It's not just mini winning in and Bears, let's not show anything, because who knows what's going to happen in the Rams. Now, obviously, they're favored to win. They should win that game. They're a double-digit favorite hosting the San Francisco 49ers, but you never know. So I'm going to kind of look at this as mini winning in, and Bears don't really care. We're going to look at it, Minnesota minus 4.5. We're going to lean to that side. I can't see the Bears risking showing anything and then having to play them the next week. So that's what we're looking at. Mini winning in. Must win does not always equal must win, but we're going to look at it that way. Lean Minnesota minus 4.5.
What about another winning in matchup? Browns are at the Ravens. If the Ravens win, they win the NFC North.
Yeah, so there we go. Win and in. Ravens, you got your destiny in your own hands. You win the North with a victory. But you know what, Joe? I seem to remember having this happen last year. The Ravens were in the exact same spot. I think that's how those Buffalo Bills got in. Believe it or not, it was in the stadium when the Bills played the Dolphins, and all the Bills fans were sitting in the corridor watching the big screen TVs, hoping for the Ravens to lose. They got that Andy Dalton miracle. What a long time ago that was. And if you remember, all those Buffalo fans were donating to Andy Dalton's favorite charity. Well, the Ravens, let's not hope that they don't let that happen again. I don't know what's going to happen. I have a feeling I know what happens, but that's why you got to call 1-833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678 or reach us on the web at winwithsports.com. You are going to get all the 411, all the information that you need. Like I said, we're treating these like preseason games. You can throw out all the computer numbers for the first 16 weeks, and you have to go on information. Browns at Ravens. Love this Browns team. They got rid of that cancer Hugh Jackson. Baker Mayfield, he's being a kid. I know a lot of people don't like when he stares them down. He's being a kid. You don't know what happened in that locker room between Hugh and Baker. And remember, Baker wasn't the starter. He wasn't Hugh's choice. Tyrod Taylor was in there until he got injured. So maybe there's some bad blood. Who knows? Love Baker Mayfield. I love his emotion. Browns at Ravens. Let's pass that game, and let's see what happens.
Another win and in matchup. This one is in many ways for all the marbles. Whoever wins this game is in the playoffs in the AFC. It's the Sunday night special. It's the Indianapolis Colts. Last line I saw, they were laying 3.5 at the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that's the old flex game that they threw up there for us. They did us a favor and moved them to the night game. These two teams, that is, they're just like the Minnesota game or the Browns game. You got winning in on one side. The Bears, we don't know what their heads are at. The Browns, they just want to ruin someone's season. But this is a true, both sides, same motivation, same winning in. This is a de facto playoff game. Now, Andrew Luck just owns the Tennessee Titans. The Colts always beat the Titans. They have, I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but he just dominates that team. As you can see, the line is 3.5 with Indy on the road. I really can't give you anything on this one, and here's why. I mean, we lean one way, but Mariota up in the air. Is it going to be Mariota? Is it going to be Gabbert? I have a feeling it's Mariota. I mean, how many times have you seen a quarterback take a press conference on a Wednesday and then not play that Sunday? He's kind of tipping his hand a little bit. I expect to see him there. We think the Colts are the better team. They have a better ability to move the ball. I kind of like their coach as well. But we have till 8:20 Eastern Standard Time on Sunday night to figure that one out. And what you can do is, guys, when you guys have a boatload of cash for what we did for you during the day, you give me a call, 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678 or winwithsports.com. Ask for Chris Long. Ask for Lenny C. This voice you hear right now, Joe, that's the voice that picks up the phone. You're not going to get a hacky salesman. Guys, give me a call for the winner of that game, 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678.
And, it's funny. You talk about saying, hey, we're going to make you a boatload of money during the day, and we're going to take our time figuring this one out. Sounds like you guys at Win with Sports are pretty much going to need right up until about 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time to figure out a side on this one as you keep compiling late intel on this matchup.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, a lot of times we do our damage early. Like, I can't tell you, my customers who were with me for a long time, they know the deal. I will call you on a Monday for Sunday. I will call you on Tuesday for Sunday. I will call you on Wednesday for Sunday. We have information early. We like to get the best line before it moves. Line value is what we preach. We bet numbers. We do not bet teams. I do not bet the Bills. I bet +7. I do not bet the Saints. I bet -7. We just do the numbers. But this is a case where I'm not going to jump early. We're going to wait for the latest information. You get the best of both worlds. The early information where we beat the line move, and you also have right up until game time when we have late-breaking information, 8 o'clock, I might tell you to send it in on something. So that's how we do it here, 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678 or winwithsports.com. Now, Joe, we can go on to some of these other games that mean absolutely nothing and how we get through that minefield. What do you want to look at here?
Well, if you want to go to something that means absolutely nothing, I guess here's a classic example. Miami at +4.5 heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills. These two teams are going nowhere fast. And first of all, how do you figure out which team is going to show up and which team isn't?
All right, here we go, Joe. You're in my wheelhouse right now. I love when you say two teams going nowhere, the game means nothing. How do you figure? That's exactly what I'm looking for. Because if you don't know anything, you know what else? The Vegas odds makers don't know anything either. They're throwing darts, okay? I'm going to give this one out. We already bet this. Okay, Buffalo -3. We laid the 3. You cannot get that number. It's sitting at 4.5 right now. My customers laid 3 last Sunday night when these lines came out. Okay, I still think you can lay 4.5. I still think the Buffalo Bills are a much better team. I think they're a better coach team. Think they have more talent, and I think they have more to play for. If you've ever been up to Buffalo to one of these games, those fans are passionate. They never have anything to cheer for, and they bring it week after week. These two teams matched up not too long ago. Miami came away from the victory, but if you look at the stats, Joe, Buffalo dominated that game. I think Josh Allen ran for over 100 yards. They had a late chance. They lost the game, but if you watch the tape, they were the better team. They're the better team again. They're at home. We laid 3. You can still lay 4.5, but that's the difference between being a Win with Sports customer and not being a Win with Sports customer. You will lay 3. And Joe Public is going to lay 4.5. 1-833-95-SPORT or 1-833-957-7678 or winwithsports.com. Reach me any way you like. Joe, where are we going now?
You talk about a game that means absolutely nothing to anybody other than maybe the coaching staffs and the 106 players on these 2 rosters and maybe some select friends and family. And that's Atlanta laying 1.5 versus Tampa Bay in Tampa.
Okay, here we go. I think who was this, Joe, who's going to play in this game? Is it Peter Griffin? Is it Stewie Griffin? Who's playing in this game?
Stewie Griffin.
Stewie Griffin is going to play. I'm sorry. I apologize to Mr. Ryan Griffin. We're just having some fun over here.
Stewie.
But if you guys are Family Guy lovers, you'll know exactly where we're going.
Well, Stewie's head is shaped like a football, so he'd be the perfect quarterback. He can take his arm, throw his own head.
So Ryan Griffin, we've heard that he's going to get some snaps. I don't know what that means. They're not even going to go with Winston or Fitz. Ryan Griffin is going to get a little trial. This game means absolutely nothing. Again, I go back to the preseason. This is a guy who should not be playing in this game, but they want to see what they got. They want to look forward to next year. He'll be out there. Will he play 3 quarters? Will he play 1 quarter? Will he play the whole game? We don't know that yet, but I have a sneaky suspicion I will know that before you guys will. So 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. You will get information on Stewie and Peter and the rest of the Griffins.
And if you're not sure that the gang from Win with Sports is going to know this before you do, Chris Long knew of the Cam Newton injury about 3 weeks before the rest of us knew it, and he did nothing but send his customers to the pay window because of that bit of knowledge.
Yeah, and then like I said, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I do. I mean, we were 5-0 last week, and all of them, majority of them, were given out here on the radio. I could tell you till I'm blue in the face who I won last week, but you can go check the audio. Go to winwithsports.com. All my library is there. All the winners are there. 1-833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678. Before we send the listeners off, let's look at one more game. What do you think, Joe?
You know, this one intrigues me. They've been an up-and-down team. They need to win, and then they need a lot of help in order to make the playoffs. It's the Steelers at home laying 14.5 versus the putrid Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, you know what? How much would Cincinnati love to ruin Pittsburgh's season? But you know what? They just can't do it. They're so outmanned. They're outcoached. They're out everything in this game. I mean, Cincinnati is just a wreck. I mean, injuries. Marvin Lewis is terrible, but it's not all on him this year. The injuries everywhere. I mean, A.J. Green, Todd. I mean, it doesn't matter. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, D-back. Just name it. They're banged up. But wouldn't it be weird to see if Tennessee won and got in, and you got Tennessee in the playoffs and Pittsburgh out? We got to look at Vrabel and Mariota grinding away to maybe 17 points, or would you rather have Antonio Brown and Big Ben or Juju Smith-Schuster? I know what the ratings are looking for. I know what NFL wants. I know what the TV station wants, but I don't think they're going to get it. So Pittsburgh, good luck next year.
We'll tie a bow around this edition of Win with Sports next. I'm Joe Spano. He's Chris Long. No flipping. Chris, let's wrap up this edition of Win with Sports. You've told everybody where they can make money in all those big college football bowl games, some of those minor college football bowl games. You forecasted the topsy-turvy Week 17 in the NFL. And you also talked a little bit about some of the holiday spirit that's going on at Win with Sports. There's all kinds of great opportunities and special promotions that you guys are offering right now in the holiday season. Dive into those a little bit for the listeners before we walk out the door here.
All right, so I have my College Bowl Game of the Year. It's the highest rated play of all the bowls. We're 2-0 on our total of the year, and our regular season game of the year. We won both pretty easily. I have that coming up this week, this Saturday. And guys, it's absolutely free. All you need to do is give me a call and sign up for any package. I don't care which package it is. This is a $500 standalone value that you can get. Just call up and order the day package, the weekend package, the week package, the monthly package, or even the season package. I don't care. Sign up for any package. You get my College Bowl Game of the Year. And these games, they win, and they win easily. 833-95-SPORT. That's 833-957-7678. Even the phone call's free, Joe. Toll-free numbers, winwithsports.com. That's how you reach us on the website. 833-95-SPORT, 833-957-7678. Guys, Bowl Game of the Year. And we educate you. You can take this information with you. When you speak to me, when you call, you're going to speak to me or you can speak to Lenny C. I don't ever advise betting on your own. But one day you're going out with your friends and you want to see something on TV and you want to seem smart. Ask me what I think about the game. I'm not going to tell you to put money on it, but I will give you my opinion. We are a full service money management, information, betting guide, whatever you need. 833-95-SPORT or 833-957-7678, Joe.
We're out of here. Let's go get ready to celebrate New Year's. And again, for Chris Long, I'm Joe Spano. We'll see you at the pay window.